I am Sophia, a 20-year-old student from Spain. I have a big dream to travel to interesting places around the world. I love learning about different countries and their cultures. One place I always wanted to visit was London. One summer, my parents surprised me with exciting news. We're going to London for a vacation, they said with big smiles. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy that I jumped up and down. I packed my suitcase with clothes, my camera, and a notebook to write about my trip. Finally, the day came for our trip. My family and I went to the airport, which was very busy and full of people. I felt a bit nervous but also very excited because I had never been on a long flight before. We soon got on the airplane, and I chose a seat by the window. I wanted to look out at the clouds and sky. The flight to London was long, but I enjoyed looking out the window. After many hours, the pilot said we would be landing soon. My heart started to race with excitement. I couldn't wait to see London, the city I had read about in books and seen in movies. When we landed, I heard many people speaking English. I tried to understand what they were saying, but it was hard. I decided I would practice speaking English as much as I could on this trip. At the airport, we took a taxi to our hotel. On the way, I saw tall buildings, pretty parks, and the famous red double-decker buses. The streets were full of people, cars, and bicycles. Everything looked so new and exciting to me. When we arrived at the hotel, a friendly receptionist welcomed us. "Welcome to London," she said with a warm smile. I felt happy to hear such a friendly greeting. Our room was nice, with a big window that looked out over the city. I quickly went to the window to look at the view. I was amazed when I saw Big Ben, the famous clock tower, right there. The next morning, we woke up early to explore the city. Our first stop was the London Eye, a big Ferris wheel by the River Thames. We waited in line and then got into one of the glass pods for our ride. As the Ferris wheel went up, I felt more excited. I looked out and saw the whole city below me, buildings, bridges, and the river. It felt like I was flying, and I took many pictures to remember the view. After our ride on the London Eye, we were all hungry. We found a small cafe nearby and tried a traditional English meal, fish and chips. I was curious to taste it, and when I did, it was delicious. As we walked through the city, I saw many interesting shops. I asked my parents if we could stop and look inside one. The shop was filled with small gifts to remember London. I decided to buy a few things: a small Big Ben keychain, a red bus magnet, and a postcard of the London Eye. I wanted to keep these as memories of my trip. I also practiced my English by saying hello and thank you to the shopkeepers. One day, we visited the Tower of London, an old castle with a lot of history. I learned about the kings and queens who had lived there. The most amazing thing I saw was the crown jewels, which sparkled brightly. In the evening, we went to a theatre to watch a musical. The theatre was big, with red seats and bright lights, and the show was full of singing, dancing, and colorful costumes. Even though it was in English, I could understand the story by watching the actors. Each night, after a long day of exploring, I wrote in my notebook. I wrote about all the places I had visited, the food I had tried, and the people I had met. I also wrote down new English words I learned, like hello, thank you, and goodbye. On our last day in London, we went to Hyde Park, a large and beautiful park in the city. We walked around, fed the ducks, and had a picnic. Sitting on the grass and looking at the blue sky, I felt happy about all the memories I had made. When it was time to leave, I felt a little sad. I had grown to love London, with its busy streets, famous buildings, and friendly people. I knew I would miss it, but I was also excited to tell my friends about my adventure. As we got on the airplane to go back home, I looked out the window one last time. I whispered, "Goodbye, London. I hope to see you again someday." I smiled, feeling proud of my journey, and knowing this trip was just the start of many more adventures. If you want to learn new vocabulary on different topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for new stories.